Alright, welcome back to the channel where we are going to be putting a new carburetor on this push mower. Issue is I need to mow the grass. I picked this up on Marketplace for $25, and the reason being is because my riding mower's engine is going bad. So I need to do an engine swap on that before it throws a rod out the side. So this is going to get us there, and it doesn't run. So it costs $25 on Marketplace because it doesn't run. It does have spark. I did check that yesterday before trying to get into things any deeper and cranking it a bunch of times or pulling it a bunch of times. I want to know if it's going to fire. It has spark, so that should tell us that it should fire. There could be an issue of the key being partially sheared and the timing being off. We'll find that out once we have air and fuel, if it's popping and not quite trying to crack off. But the spark being checked, we should be able to move forward with carburetor. And this is an assumed or presumed issue. You take the air cleaner off, you can see inside that this is corroded and it had been sitting for a while, and has a dry primer, and ultimately just needs to be gone over or replaced. The fact that we can't really work on these that well means that they need to be replaced. So we did pick up a replacement. This is the same replacement that I use on all these Tecumseh engines. Like the last one was a 4 horsepower. This is a 3.5 horsepower. They're the same thing. They're the same engine. A lot of the newer versions of these will have a branded cover. So they'll have a plastic or metal cover that's bigger than this, and it will make it look like it is a whatever Toro or Lawn Boy or whatever it might be branded as. But inside, it's a Tecumseh engine. Now this should fit on here without issue, but there is slight differences in the carburetor. But as far as linkage and bolting up, it should be just fine, right? There we go. I have the tools out that I need. I'm gonna have to take the muffler off to get this intake off, to pull the carburetor off. It's easier to do that way. All right, and I believe it's 7/16. I use this little tool here that is a multi-socket screwdriver. We can take the muffler off. All right, then we can take the 2 bolts off. These are also Phillips, but prefer to use a socket if I have one that'll fit. Well, not necessarily fit, but that'll reach in here without rubbing. The only inconvenient thing about this tool is you gotta rearrange it, but it's nice. Still nice that it's self-contained. So you have to stack them up so they don't fit inside each other. All right. Uh-oh, see? Right there, socket's too thick. So we can use a big Phillips, just a number 2 Phillips. Alright, so now there's governor spring. And throttle. And fuel line. I'm going to take the fuel line off at the tank, and this doesn't have much gas in it. All right. There it is. That's the assembly. You can separate the carburetor and intake and get it back together. There are nuts on the back of this, so if it doesn't come apart, then you gotta put a wrench on the other side. But usually, with the little lock washers they have, they'll come apart with just one tool. This one. That's come apart. Now, not to goof up the arrangement here, this has it has a governor spring on the back side here. I don't want to forget how that was connected. But there it is. That's the bad or the old carburetor. Take off the fuel line. I'm going to try to just use the same fuel line. The goal is to just mow the grass here this morning. And that's water. Yeah, so this got water in it. That's why. And the bowl's loose. So this would have been a nightmare to try to rebuild. But bam, look at that. Rebuilt, ready to go. Put the new one on. Just like nothing ever happened. Now, the kit should have a gasket. Right, a new gasket. And here's the horsepower difference. So they rate these things different and put different model numbers on them, but they're not different, right? The biggest difference is the openings, right? Airflow. So this carburetor is the same, okay? It's the same. But then when you look at the intake, if you want to talk port matching and everything, the intake does not match the gasket, right? There's actually an old gasket on there. Pull that off. So the new gasket's bigger. The newer versions of this have a larger hole in the intake. All right. And put it back together the same way it came apart with a new gasket. I will rearrange this and try to tighten it. Tighten it up. Using this first, but I think might have to grab a wrench. This is an 11 millimeter wrench, even though those are standard sockets. They squeak metric and standard on these engines sometimes. All right. So the intake and the carburetor are bolted together. Now we can bolt the intake back to the engine, but first I want to hook the linkage back up. And get an idea here of where it had been before. same hole. There's more holes in this plate, well, one more hole in this plate than that plate, but this is the same hole it was in on that one. We have that, and then that governor spring. And then the fuel line. Where do I go with that? There. This doesn't really seem like there's anything wrong with it. It's not new. It's not in the best condition, but it's also not cracking apart and splitting at the ends, which is what would make me replace it. Now this tank has water. I thought it had a little bit of gas in it. It has water in it. There we go. Get the clamps back on here the way they were. I don't like these clamps. I usually try to switch them out with the kind that you can actually tighten. But they do their job. Tank back on. Uh-oh, where'd the fuel cap go? There we go. Alright, now we can bolt the intake back on. This did have a gasket. This does not come in the kit because it's not the carburetor, so they're not really, I guess, planning on you taking that off, even though it'd be miserable to try to take the carburetor off. You'd have to take this off, and you'd be, you know, 8th turn at a time trying to take those bolts out. So you can see with how I'm doing this, it doesn't take long, right? Make sure this gasket's on here the right way. It's not, what do you call it? Symmetric. So it only fits one way. There we go. And then I'll use the screwdriver to get these going. Alright, try to get this one. Huh. Top one won't get started. It's probably hitting the gasket. Trying to get that one started first. Yeah, that gasket swings out of the way. There we go. How you doing, Vader? There we go. And again, I'm tightening the bottom one with a screwdriver because that's all I can get to it with. And I can do the top one the socket, which really it's the same kind of handle, so I can't say that it's tighter that way. I just prefer using the socket. Alright, new carburetor, new gasket, should all be tight with good gaskets. Fuel line's connected, throttle is connected. Now this has a throttle on it, I believe. Oh no, it doesn't. No. It has a deck engagement. So this should be, there we go. So that it should be free. There we go. Now, the issue is air cleaner. This one's made a little different, runs around air cleaner. What I want to do is put the kind of like an oval style air cleaner on. I'll show you what I mean by that. So this is the oval style air cleaner, and what I need is an adapter that goes from this carburetor to this style air cleaner. And it's a piece of plastic. It's like this, right? But it holds the oval style. This style is just round, okay? And it locks on. So either I'm gonna put this on here or I'm gonna find the oval style. But for right now, I'm just gonna run it without an air cleaner because it's mine. I don't plan on selling this one, at least anytime soon. I need to mow grass with it. So it turns out to be a keeper, and I end up getting the riding mower going, then I'll probably fix it up even more, sell it, and then move on. But I like to get an air cleaner on it for that. But right now, I got the option of possibly making my own. I can 3D print something or just find a donor and put it on. I moved, that's still my excuse. I moved, can't find all my stuff, but I did have a big inventory of carburetors, and in moving I know I got rid of things, and I can't remember what I got rid of and what I just misplaced, but I used to have a whole stash of Tecumseh parts, so I could have pulled one off of there, so we'll see what happens with that. Alright, but now we can put the muffler back on. This didn't have a gasket, right? But it does have a little, oh, let's just say it's a flange, but it's not a flange. The little stamped piece here fits in that hole, and I guess it kind of has a cone shape to it, so the tighter it gets, the tighter it wedges or seals. This is a little muffler. This is another thing that would be kind of a restriction. A difference going from 3 to 4 horsepower. It's just bigger holes. Bigger hole in the muffler, bigger hole in the intake. So hopefully it's happy with a little more airflow. I can't tell you whether I know the carburetor's jetted any different. Just the opening on the inside and the back side of the carburetor are the same. Go. And the kit also comes with a spark plug, and that spark plug is loose, so this was definitely fiddled with. Gas on the car. Alright, this is from me trying to start it. I did dump gas down it just to try to get it to pop. Spark plug does not look bad, so that's a keeper for later. We'll check to see if the new spark plug is not going to interfere, and it won't. So you can see the threaded part is the same. But some of the spark plugs for these engines, the threaded port can be twice as long. You definitely don't want to put one of those in here, or it definitely hit stop. All right. Oh. My spark plug socket rubber thing's falling out. All right, that tightened up, which is good. All right, fuel. This is all the gas I have right now. All right, here we go. Let's see how it runs. Runs good. Bad news is we have a bent crankshaft. So this is my mower. I will not sell this mower this way, but what I will do is use it, mow with it until the rider is ready, and then I will just part it out. This engine runs good. I'll take the good stuff off of this and move it to the next one. Now we're ready to test it. These are safety glasses. These are composite toe shoes. I wouldn't mow the grass in flip-flops. Alright, some of the things we'll have to watch out for is the reason everything was loose on here is because of that bent crankshaft. So this thing's just really, it's on its way out. It has a very short life expectancy. We want to make sure things stay tight, make sure it has oil in it. Seal is probably bad underneath. Make sure that the carburetor is sealed up. I noticed with these shaking, we'll get fuel coming out of the primer bulb. Let me see. So, I want to make sure that the bowl stays tight, the bowl gasket, right, has a good seal. But otherwise, this thing runs just fine, right? So if you pick up one of these Tecumsehs and put a new carburetor on it, I guarantee them. These things always run well. This is a piece of crap. This thing is scrap metal. And it still runs, right? So it doesn't take much for these things to get going again. So if your mower doesn't work, it would. It will, right? It just needs a little bit of TLC. In this case, some new oil, carburetor, new spark plug, and this thing's back up and running. Like I said before, I will take the good bits off of this and put on a better engine at some point. The only reason I wouldn't swap engines is because this has a side shaft self-propelled drive. So there's a shaft here. When the engine's running, the crankshaft is turning the blade, but this shaft that comes out the side is actually powering the self-propelled mechanism. So I can't just put any engine on here. It wouldn't run the self-propelled. So chances are either it won't be self-propelled anymore, or I will just junk all of this and keep what's good off that engine. But it'll get me where I need to go, which is just mowing until we can get the rider back in shape. So this has, I think, an 8-horse on it, and it's not blown up, but it's on its way out. Either the balance mechanism inside's going bad, or it spun a bearing and it's on its way out. It really want to RPM like it usually would, which could be either balance or connecting rod bearing, which is what's happened to me in the past. I do have a donor for this. So this should be, by the model, see, by the tractor model, this should have been an 11 horse, but by the engine model, it's a 12 horse. But either way, I rebuilt that engine many years ago, and I know it's a good core. I could probably get it running the way that it is, but I'll put all of the good bits off of that engine, put it on here, and if I'm feeling good, I might give it a paint job, but otherwise, it'll just get a good carburetor and starter and everything else put on it from the Cub. All right, but that's it for this episode. We got the old push mower going. If you have any questions, you can put them in the comments. Every time I work on a small engine or something like this, I feel like it's kind of simple because I've done many of them, and if it's not this, it's that. And to not get stressed out over it and push it out at the curb, you know, for free, hopefully these videos will give you some motivation to look up the model number, get a carburetor off Amazon or something, or at least troubleshoot what you have and keep it going. You know, push mowers, where they cost hundreds and hundreds of dollars. I can't afford a new push mower, but I can afford to fix one all day long. So yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching.